Hello and welcome, Flucking Flourishes. I have an incredible guest for you today. Her name is Sarah, and she is right wild, and it is an awesome name. I absolutely love it. She is the creative force behind the Right Wild method, which is blending the nurturing embrace of nature when writing to guide people through very gently anxiety to ignite fresh ideas and bring your unique voice alive on the page. She aligns with natural rhythms, helping you reclaim your creative energy and transforming writer's block into forest floor inspiration. She is a beautiful soul and writes beautifully, which is where we discovered each other on the amazing platform that is Substack. So it is with great pleasure that I introduced Sarah to you. Well,
Hello, hello. Hi, I'm happy to fucking flourish here with you, Lisa. I'm super excited,
that's
and that was a lovely introduction. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Um, I mean, really, the idea of flourishing, it's interesting because when I have sent kind of that idea of like, what does flourishing look like for you? So for some people, it's been like, oh, am I really flourishing? And it's given them time to kind of reflect perhaps on what that means. So can I ask you, yeah, like what point are you at your life and do you feel like you're flourishing?
Well, it's funny because when we first met, I listened to one of your podcasts about play,
Mm-hmm.
and I realised that I talk to my clients about how important play is
Mm-hmm.
and getting out and having fun and rolling about in the grass and such like. And I thought, when was the last time I actually did that myself? And I was ashamed because I can't I can't preach what I don't actually do. But because of the move and everything, it's just been a bit hectic. So I've gone back to getting out and taking my phone and recording. I love going out and recording fairy tales in the forest. And I love just lying back on the grass and looking at the sky and getting a brand new perspective on things. So I've done that because of you. You
Oh.
reminded me about what it is to play and dancing around my kitchen. I found new songs to get me flourishing. But honestly, I'm not sure if I'm fully flourishing.
Yeah.
But I'm on the path.
Yeah.
I'm on the path to it. I think it's a ebb and flow kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I've learned recently that there are days that are going to be shit, basically, and there are going to be great days.
Mm,
But we have to embrace the days that aren't so great, and
mm,
just because it can't be great all the time. So,
mm.
so in a sense, I'm flourishing.
Yeah.
I'm flourishing work wise, but personally, I think I still have some work to do.
It's interesting because I feel like we kind of think of flourishing as an endpoint and that there's this like forever kind of feeling about it. Whereas like I like to think of it as a garden, kind of a bloom where you're planted kind of thing. And I mean gardens need shit.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
need
they do. Yeah,
fertilizer and it's that no mud, no lotus. I really love that that concept of well, we also need all of it. It's all of it and not judging it, isn't it? So
yeah,
it's not good or not bad, but it is what it is, and it all helps us to be the person that that we are,
yeah.
perhaps.
And
Yeah,
sometimes it's nothing, and
yeah,
and
that's right.
and it's the nothing times that sometimes catch
Mm,
us. And we think, oh, what's going on here? Nothing's,
mhm,
I feel nothing or nothing's happening or
mhm.
but those are important times as well. So,
That's right.
because those times are when we get a chance, our bodies and our minds get a chance to recalibrate
Mm,
and just double check that we are where we should be,
mm,
which we probably are. But yeah, I have this visual image in my head um,
mhm,
during shit times or nothing times, of a meadow, and it's kind of I'm in the centre of it, and I'm surrounded by it, and I've practiced it so much now that I can actually smell the flowers, and I get such a reassuring, comforting feeling from just having that visualization. And because we've moved to this house and it's got a bigger garden, I'm going to plant. I've got a space where I can plant a meadow, so that's starting next month, August.
Exciting.
And I'm super excited about this because I'll have an actual meadow that I can
Yeah.
sit in and just be there, and I don't know what it'll be like, but I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's a beautiful, like, visualization becoming reality, isn't it? What an
Yeah.
amazing thing.
I mean, the visualization itself is
Yeah.
amazing because
Yeah.
it does bring me back into the moment and make me realize that everything flourishes or everything grows. And in
Mm.
that growing period, we're not always beautiful. We're sometimes just a seed or a
Mm.
plant or something. And eventually we become something. And then we'll go back and be nothing again and then become something. And it's just a wonderful life.
Yeah. So how, I mean, I'm hearing you, and it's really, I mean, you have Write Wild, which is write as in WRITE, as in writing, because obviously that it's a clever name. And I mean, it's all about connecting with nature. I'm hearing in your words that the seasonal flow. So how important is that for you in your creative process?
It's really important. As soon as I recognised that creativity, well, I didn't recognise, I studied it, that creativity has that ebb and flow element to it. We can't be creative all the time, and we shouldn't be, but we expect to be. So when we
Mhm.
sit down to write a full length book, we expect to be able to keep going until the end. So it's a
Yeah.
kind of linear thing
Yeah.
writing a book, but that's just the writing element of it. That doesn't
Yeah.
take into the craft itself. Is a great thing to learn if you
Mm.
want to be a writer. But to be a writer, there's so much more involved. And I always say that 80% of writing is thought work and experiential work, and that is getting outside,
Mm.
seeing what nature can teach us about creativity, allowing our creativity to flourish. Like I keep using that word.
Yeah, do it,
It's a great
do
word.
it.
Allowing our creativity to grow and to be what it needs to be for us to get to the end point of our books.
Mm.
Yeah. So it for me, it just is natural now because it's something that is me. I started through an experience that I had a good few years ago now in the sea.
Mhm.
I was sitting in the sea. I wasn't writing. I hadn't written for 2 years. I had developed a chronic illness, and I got. I don't know what made me do it, but I sat in the sea, right up to my neck,
Mhm.
um, and I couldn't see sea. All I could see was seaweed. There was huge, thick fronds of seaweed like this. This was on the island of Skye,
Yeah.
and it was this really sort of crazy sort of the way the seaweed just kept moving, and it was just seaweed for as far as I could see, and then it was the sky. And I sat there for 2 to 3 hours, I think, and I was just I think I was so exhausted, and I'd been on this kind of hamster wheel of what's wrong with me, and
Mhm.
being in limbo for so long and not writing and not being creative and basically just being a vegetable, just sitting and doing nothing. And then I went back from the sea to the little cottage that we had rented, and I sat and outlined the whole outline. And I don't outline, you know. I'm not the kind of person that really plans things.
You're a
But
pants is what they call it, isn't
well,
it?
well,
Like,
yeah,
really?
I honestly, that's for another conversation. I think that's
Yeah.
rubbish. This planner
Yeah.
pants thing. I think we all
Yeah.
do something of a middling thing.
Yeah.
Certainly, I do. But yeah, I outlined this whole novel, and I went home and I wrote it in 6 months.
Amazing.
And I'm not saying it was the magic of the sea or anything. I'm just saying I got a whole new perspective, and I couldn't even articulate it. I couldn't put it into words. what had happened to me. But and I've been writing again since ever since. So I
Mm,
had so for me, nature can teach us things, and even if we don't know what it's teaching us, if we don't understand it, it's still there. You know, our subconscious soaks it up and delivers it back to us as something that we do understand, something tangible, something that we can use in our writing, something we can give to our craft that is there
mm,
forever. And when that happened, I decided that there was something in this, and I had to go off and find out what it was. And
fantastic.
I'm still at that stage where there are certain things that we can't articulate. There's no words to describe, but experiences are experiences, and they're different
Mm,
for everybody. And so I
mm,
studied it and developed, came up with this method.
mm,
And it's maybe a bit clumsy, but it's just a way of um, grounding yourself in nature and getting that connection back again that we all seem to have lost, you know, and that we think that we can go once a month and go and visit some forest or something, and then we get refreshed again, and then we get back to our normal lives. But nature has to be sort of the foundations, the roots of our creative process, I believe.
mm,
And then as a writer, we become true to ourselves and more authentic, I think. So doing this work alongside doing the craft work
mm.
of writing, I believe is really important. Um, and it can't help but make you a better writer. So
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm really absolutely 100% agree with the connection with nature and how powerful it is. And I've had experiences. It's interesting when you say you were sitting in the sea because I came up with fucking flourishing. I was floating in the water. So
oh,
it just came to
awesome.
me and I was like, ping. And I'd already, been writing for like 6 years or something creatively, but I just felt right and I followed that. So you never know what's going to happen when you're just allowing yourself to float. Water, I think, is an amazing. I mean, we're like a significant proportion. I can't remember 80% water, something like that, maybe
Yeah.
even more as humans. So floating around in water can do amazing things. Let alone with kelp or seaweed with you. It's amazing. So yeah, it just nature, I think, gives us so much, and like you said, it's we're finding out more and more of how forests are connected and how they are symbiotic, and they have this amazing mycelium underneath that they're connected through their roots and they electrical impulses that connect with each other, even trees that aren't of the same. And I think more and more we're finding out that, yeah, well, there's a reason. We might not have scientific words for it, but we could call it magic. It sounds nice that it's magic that we get this energy from nature that we need. Now, I know that you have just done a significant move. So, would you like to tell me about that and what prompted you to move?
I wanted to move by the sea, and I didn't move by the sea.
Yeah.
I moved further north. So we're quite close to the Cairngorm Mountains, which I also wanted to be beside. But on the other side of them, well, we're in this place that I didn't even know existed, and it's about 50 miles west of Aberdeen.
Okay.
And it's the place where I said I didn't want to go to because I don't know any of this part of Scotland. I've sort of visited twice in my lifetime. Never here, but towards Aberdeen to go and see the dolphins on that coast. So I don't know how we've ended up here, but I'm sure I'm here. I feel something. I'm sure I'm here for a purpose.
Mhm.
Um, and so far it's going really well. I just love exploring here. I found so many things. I've seen so much wildlife since I've been here. I love.
Describe the wildlife a little bit for people listening who've never been
Uh,
to. fun, perhaps.
Well, we have deer. There's an otter in the river, which is just here. Well, I haven't, to be fair, I haven't seen the otter,
Not
but
yet. Not yet.
my my husband, when he goes out with the dog,
Hmm.
he's seen the otter a few times, and he's taken pictures of it. So I have pictures of it, but I haven't seen it yet. But deer, red squirrels we have close by, and we have lots of badgers. But unfortunately, they're getting they like to run across the road, so that's a bit of a shame.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen a hare, which was just the most amazing thing, run past. And there's something about hares that are just magical. They're just so beautiful in the way they move, you know. So hares. What else have we seen? We've seen owl. We've seen lots of hawks.
Mm.
Yeah, and that's just in the few weeks since we've been here.
Yeah.
And I haven't really been going out to explore wildlife.
Yeah.
We've kind of, when I say exploring, we've kind of gone to a place and come back.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm because there's so many places to go, you know,
Mm.
but I haven't found my place yet. I
Okay.
always, wherever I live, I like to have a place where I can just go and just sit and do nothing. I haven't found that place yet, but
Might be a meadow.
yeah, there's
Might,
lots of meadows. Yeah,
yeah.
the meadow that just behind our house, there's a field with cows in it, and then there's the meadow, and it's just you just got to stand there and look at it. It goes on for ages, and it's just beautiful. To just leave it for it to grow as natural. And it just takes your breath away to see a meadow that on that scale, you know. And there's lavender fields
Mm.
along the road there. It's just beautiful, and we're not where I wanted to be in the middle of nowhere, but Mike, my husband, wasn't sure.
Yeah.
He wanted to be by some services and
Yeah.
in a community. He wanted a community. He also wanted to be by the trains, the steam trains and the motor museum, which he
Okay.
didn't tell me until we'd actually moved in. But the motor museum is just 5 minutes down the road. Um, so yeah, so we kind of semi-rural. We're kind of in this tiny little sort of community of about 20 houses, and
Mhm.
then the nearest village is only a 5 minute drive away. So we've got all the services there. No supermarkets, hopefully, but yeah, so we're kind of got the best of both worlds, and the Cairngorms are just there to explore. The Angus Glens are just there, and the sea's on this side. I'm just pointing, but
Yeah, you're pointing.
I was,
People who are listening don't know where you're pointing, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. So west is the Cairngorms.
Yeah.
Well, just there,
Yeah.
and east is the coast, and north is the coast. So we're surrounded. We've got a huge coast here, and it's only a half an hour drive away. So I think I've got the best of everything,
Yeah.
uh,
It sounds incredible, really.
and I just need to find my place. It doesn't have to be a big place, just a little place
Yeah.
where I can sit. I, I like to be. I like to find a place where there's nobody else there.
Mm.
um, because it's funny when I go out quite often and record either my own writing, or I love to record fairy tales because I get clients to go out and record fairy tales, or I used to run groups where we
Mhm.
all go out and speak fairy tales to the forest. Because
Yeah.
there's something, you start to read a fairy tale and you're nervous and self-conscious when you first start, even if there's nobody about. And as the momentum builds in a fairy tale, it has that rhythm and momentum that carries you along, and the story gets in your head, and you become the characters, and you're telling the story of the narrator. And by the end of it, you're super excited, and it's almost like you've just got a new drive, or a new breath of fresh air that just fills you up and gives you that cleansing or that creative boost.
Mm.
And I love doing that, but it's I have done it where there's been other people there and they stand and they take photographs or they listen, and it's for me that's quite awkward. So I do it
Oh,
anyway, but
yeah,
it's
yeah,
quite
yeah,
funny. Yeah.
yeah. All of a sudden, you have an audience when you're not expecting. A lot of
Yeah.
changes the energy, maybe a little bit, but good on you for keeping on going.
Usually
I
on the beach because it's hard to find a beach. Not here, but where I was, it was hard to find a beach where there was no people. So it's usually been on the beach where I've turned around and there's people standing taking photographs. Yeah, hilarious.
Could be on someone's Instagram without knowing it.
Yeah, she's this crazy woman.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating with oral storytelling because it's so deeply rooted in who we are as humans. And coming from Australia, where Aboriginal Australians, they have an oral storytelling tradition that's 60,000 years old. It's the oldest living culture on the planet, and there's so much coded into fairy tales or stories, or for them it's a dream time, and it's so much more than stories, isn't it? Can you speak to that a
Yeah,
little, maybe?
Indigenous populations talk about our bodies are connected to nature in a way that we don't understand, but they do. And they talk about disconnection. And if you're disconnected from nature, then you're lost half of yourself, and that's kind of a basic way of explaining it. But we can't survive without nature, and
Mm,
and they treat nature as if it's part of their whole existence.
mm,
They couldn't breathe without nature, and that's, I think, important for us to understand, because when we start to think in those terms, so when we put our feet on the ground and we feel grounded, that's nature giving us that opportunity to feel grounded again and to bring ourselves back into our bodies and live in the present moment. And that is so important to how we um, cope with anxiety and how we cope with fear and how we just cope with day to day life and trauma. And I think we've lost that. So we have, as a culture here, we have this disconnection, or we've lost our location. You know, we've separated ourselves from something that is part of our system, our makeup.
mm,
And this is where I think we don't know how to deal with anxiety or fear. We don't know what's causing our fear. We don't know how to understand it. And we put it down to, and we become chronically ill, like I've experienced, you know, or we become depressed, or we become, and we don't know how to find our way back. And partly that's finding our way back to nature, regrounding ourselves, reconnecting, and finding that other half of us that is so important
mm.
to who we are as human beings.
Yeah.
So, and also, if we think in those terms, we understand then what we are doing to the earth or the planet, and we become more nurturing towards it, because it would be as if it was our baby. You know, we nurture our children and care for them, and we need to care. And it sounds, at the moment, with all these buzz terms, climate change and sustainability, and they've all been sort of shuffled off into a box of, they're green people or whatever, you know. It isn't about that. It's about the nature, the earth that we're standing on is part of who we are as beings. And I think we just have to start to think a bit more about what our bodies need and what feeds our mind.
Mm.
Um,
And seeing us as connected to the environment that we're in a way that is not exploitative, that
yeah,
we're not using nature as a way of profiting. Instead, we're using it to nourish so we can all flourish, nature included.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And then it works both ways, doesn't
Yeah,
it? We flourish and nature flourishes.
exactly.
Um, Yeah, and there's that word again.
Mm. So I have a question. What's something small that's brought you big joy lately?
Hmm, sometimes small. Oh God. Um. Oh, well, I could say my buddleia bush that's in my garden because it
Oh,
is just grown to huge proportions from what it was.
yeah.
And it attracts so many beautiful butterflies to it. And I can sit and watch it from indoors,
Yeah.
wherever I am on that side of the house. And I can sit by it and just watch the butterflies come and go. And it's just, it does bring me huge joy. I see it every morning when I look out. And now actually, it is so colourful. It's kind of deep purple flowers on it, and it is just gorgeous. And it brings me joy every day just to be beside it and have that there and see it growing and just watch the benefit that it's got for these butterflies. Just
Yeah.
gorgeous to watch.
Amazing when butterflies visit. I always feel like it's such a privilege to have butterflies swing
I
by.
know, it's such a simple thing, isn't it? And it's just there. And honestly, when I lived in Perth, which is a city, it was surrounded by nature, really, and it had some nature within it, but it was a city.
Mm,
And then I would go to Dundee when I was studying creative writing, and Dundee was a kind of brick built city.
mm,
And I used to not enjoy going to Dundee, and I used to not really enjoy living in Perth, I have to say. But I remember one morning I got off the train in Dundee, and I was in the centre of the city, and it was about 7:30 in the morning, and it was starting to get busy with traffic. But there was a tree, there was a church, and it had
mhm,
a very small courtyard in the front of it, and there was a tree, and this tree just was glowing. I had to stand and take photographs of it. It was just glowing, and I thought, what's going on? You know, it was so weird, and I can't understand it. And it was obviously just the light of the sun coming
yeah.
up or something, you know. But oh my God, I stood there for about half an hour, made myself late because I just got so much out of this just watching this tree. And it was just a tree in the city, you
Yeah,
know. But I think if we notice things like this, you know, we don't have to be out in the middle of nowhere. We
exactly.
can notice you walk past a busy street and there's a buddleia bush in someone's garden, or there's a hedge that's got bees in it, or you know, and it's just about being curious and noticing and not thinking, stopping to take that half hour, well, half hour, 5 minutes, just to almost it's like feeding your soul, feeding your skin, feeding your flesh, and feeding your mind with something that we don't know what, but
Yeah,
if
sure.
we're open to it, it just is amazing. And I remember that day, that morning. I don't remember the conference that I was at much, but I remember the tree.
How much do those experiences feed your creativity or nourish your creativity?
Oh, hugely, hugely. I'm a different writer now than I was, and I can't really explain it. But I am very much more in my own body when I'm writing, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I'm not trying to follow any rules of the market or rules of the craft. I am determined just to write what I feel I want to write, you know, and the first drafts are amazing. I'm talking about first drafts because I'm on the first draft of a new novel just now. And I just get so much from just sitting and writing a first draft because before it was such a tense experience. It was stressful. As much as I want to be a writer, as much as I am a writer, sitting down and actually doing the work can be quite difficult and challenging. And I mean, you find yourself going and doing the ironing or cleaning the toilet or something instead. But now I look forward to, yeah, it's true, it's true. And now I look forward to sitting. It's almost like it's my comfort blanket, or it's my healthy drink or something when I sit down to write. And I have a practice every morning. I write every day except for the weekends, but
Mm.
it nourishes me now, whereas before it was stressful and brought on anxiety. Now I feel that my writing nourishes me as a person, and I love that change
Mm.
because the anxiety is gone. I don't stress over writing anymore, and I don't stress over publishing, and I don't stress over the process
Mhm.
anymore. And so creativity is there for each of us if we get out of our own way.
Mm.
And once you can step back out of your own way and allow what's meant to happen, then life becomes something more magical, I think. So yeah, I couldn't not write every day. I just it's like a tonic. That's a silly word, but it's like I have to write in order to feel
Mm.
healthy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nourished. Yeah,
That's a beautiful shift. What an amazing shift for you to make as a creative to release yourself and from the, I guess, the pressures of the of the human world. You kind of
yeah,
instead going inside and making something that may or may not be read on the outside, I guess. That's your choice to make. Like, you have the control over your own life. You're the director of your own
yeah,
of your own.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Mm.
to be a creative
Mm.
they say to be a creative is to be angst ridden. But but I don't believe that. Honestly, I don't believe there's writer's block. I believe that getting stuck is an important part of the process, and we
Mhm.
need to embrace those stuck moments because they're trying to teach us something. So what we're all taught is what is causing the angst. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? We're told writing is really hard. And yes,
Yeah.
it's hard, but it's hard in ways, not in the ways that we all think. It's not hard to sit down and write. It's
Maybe
really
we could
not.
maybe we could rewrite that story. I'm very much into, like, flipping things or rewriting, or not. We don't have to maybe take on board that writing is hard, and maybe we can rewrite that story and say writing is a gift, like you have. You've seemed to
Yeah.
have
Or
rewritten that.
it's
Writing
freedom.
freedom, yeah, it's
Yeah,
easy. Writing
it's
comes
freedom.
easy to me. Do you use intentions at all I'm very much into, like, setting intentions for the day or the moment or the month. Is that something that you do, set
Yeah.
intentions?
I use intentions for in three different ways. I use intentions for my business.
Mhm.
I use intentions for my writing, and I use intentions for myself. So, and when I'm doing any kind of meditation or yoga nidra or something, I have intentions for to
Yeah,
be peaceful. For my business, I have intentions with my clients. We make intentions between us together. Um, and I have obviously goals for my business, but intentions are something sacred. I think that we share, myself and my client. And I forgot what was the three. It was the
you had like
yeah
person and business, and then for in general, I think. I don't, with your clients, I think. Oh, well, you're writing. You said you're writing.
oh
Sorry,
yeah, for my
kind
writing. Yeah, yeah. I don't do word counts personally. For me, and quite often I write first drafts by hand. But I write intentions for depending on what I'm writing. So if I'm writing non-fiction, I'll have the intention to understand at a deeper level. So I try and an intention like that stops me from just taking a surface level approach to the research or the
of.
writing. and
Mm.
I can't think of one just now, but and the one I am at peace and I am creating is a good intention to have when I'm writing non-fiction, because non-fiction is a kind of different part, it's a different approach, because it always takes me back to university or back to school where I'm having to sit and write paragraphs of things. What but when I'm writing fiction, my intention is always about freedom, and
Mm.
it's always about who am I telling the story to, and my intention is to promise to be honest and hold integrity as I'm storytelling.
Mm.
So yeah, but the hardest one is the being at peace
Mm.
and relaxing. So I'm working on intentions with the chronic illness to get my nervous system to regulate a bit better, and it's working.
Mm, fantastic. You
Uh,
mentioned just now the practices that you have that help you, that help soothe your nervous system. You talked about yoga nidra. Do you want to give us a little bit of an idea of what that how that shows?
yeah, I'm not a yoga kind of person. I never have been. But I I I made the intention this year that this year would be the year I would actually pay attention to my health.
Mhm.
Because it just kept getting worse. You know, chronic illness is just a horrible. However, it manifests itself in your body and mind, it's just horrible. So I last year, at the end of last year, I said, and I made I then this intention that this year is going to be about my health. And honestly, it's just all fallen into place with very little effort on my part. So this is where intentions work, because it's almost like the universe sends you what you need when you make that intention. That so and every day I forget that I'm supposed to be paying attention to my health. So now I have a kind of routine where I do about 50 minutes of yoga nidra or half an hour of yoga nidra, and then 25 minutes of meditation
Mm.
in the morning before I do anything. And I use yoga nidra when I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever, you know. And I am actually doing the Alexander technique as well, which I can't explain how that works, but it does work.
Mm.
It does, yeah. So from a person who has, and I'm also doing qigong, which is
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. So every Thursday I do a qigong class online with a wonderful person, and I try and practice it during the week.
that sounds like you have some really beautiful tools that support you in your life, creative practice, that
Well,
it's all about flourishing, isn't it? Finding those,
it is
isn't it?
absolutely about flourishing, because you can't flourish if you're on fight or flight every
Yes.
day of your life. You know, there's no flourishing to be had at all. And all of these things are designed to um, help recalibrate your nervous system.
It's supporting
Uh,
every part of you, isn't it? It's
yeah, and get out of fight or fright mode, which is amazing. And I mean, it's a big thing just now, isn't it? The nervous system. Like, I even saw a course for how to recalibrate your nervous system in your dog, which is my dog definitely needs something like that. But I thought
sensitive. Yeah.
that's how big it's growing. This, but
Mm.
I didn't know that at the time. But it is definitely working for me to have these practices, and also to have that self care. You know, to take the time out of your day for self care, because I never did that. It
Mm.
was always someone else's care that was important, even the dogs.
It's interesting that I have this thing of, well, the longest relationship we will ever have is with ourselves,
Yeah.
and how we very often put ourselves last, even though we're the person we're going to be with until we die.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how is that going for you? Is everybody coming before you, or are you actually looking after yourself in all ways, physical health and mental health and spiritual health? And yeah, it's I think that's part of what it is to fucking flourish, is that try all the things and use the things that work for you, and it
Yeah.
sounds like you're really doing
I
that.
did a course in self-compassion and didn't practice any of it. And I was thinking, because it's just not part of our natural makeup, I don't think. You think well, maybe it is, but we're taught
I think
something
culturally
different.
it can vary, just from my experience of living in a different country and coming from Australia, and I've lived in other places too, where I think culturally, there are some cultures that are much kinder on themselves, or teach maybe like a nicer way of having that inner voice, or making friends with your inner voice, which we haven't been taught. I think children now maybe are being taught, but I know that the UK in general tends to be quite hard on themselves. Their inner
Oh.
voice can be like, you don't need enemies, you have your own little voice in your head.
Yeah, in my book, I talk about the orangutan that I came across when I was about 3, 4, or 5. That my granny took me to the zoo, and this orangutan blew me kisses, and I remember it as if I was there. My whole life, I've remembered it, and that's when I also remember getting this voice in my head that scared the living daylights out of me, and it was just this like it's been switched on. It's weird. I don't know if this happens to anybody else, but I'm sure it does. But this is how I remember it anyway. And this orangutan blew me kisses, and obviously looking back now, it was a trick that the orangutan had learned. But I thought it was just me. My granny told me, "It's just blowing kisses to you." And I believed it. And then I started listening to this voice in my head. And since then, and the voice in my head is really harsh,
Mm,
really cruel sometimes. And it took on all the other cruelties that were happening throughout my life that other people were saying. And I think we are really hard on ourselves. And writers, especially, are
mhm.
hugely hard on themselves. Um, and even when they're trying not to be. But the writers that come to me anyway are full of self-doubt, and it's very difficult to shift
Mm,
that perception of yourself, but not impossible. But
yeah.
it's something that's got an ebb and flow as well. So you learn some techniques maybe and put them into practice, and and then you forget a little bit, so you kind of go back a wee bit, and that self-doubt creeps in again, so we work on new practice, so it's a constant battle sometimes
Yeah.
to to get that self-doubt into a more manageable, accepting way of being.
I mean,
um
practice, isn't it? We talk about it's a practice, and we're practicing being kind to ourselves. We're practicing being in the moment. We're practicing um, lots of things, having some kind of self-care routine. It's some days it doesn't work, and so we begin again the next day. And as a mindfulness teacher, that's kind of I've found that my inner voice is much kinder now, but it has taken a lot of practice. And it's being aware. Okay, the little voice, you can be quiet now. You don't need to come in. That's okay. I've got.
Yeah, but it struck me recently that how often are we present, really present, you know? And even when I thought not so long ago, actually, I mean, I'm talking about last year. I thought I try and encourage or invite my clients to be present, but I wasn't being present myself. I'm thinking, I'm looking back on that, and I was thinking, gosh, what do we know how to be present, and are we able to achieve that? level of
It's a
why.
practice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, it's like for me as a in with the people that I work with, it's almost like, well, the thoughts are there and they will come and go, and see them as clouds can be helpful, and there goes a thought, or something comes up and you name it and release it, and it's a practice, and you do
Yeah.
it over and over, and sometimes it's really amazing, and I can sit and meditate for like an hour and it's no problem, and sometimes 5 minutes feels like an eternity because the brain is going. And I
Yeah.
mean, even I think it's for all of us, we have every day is different, every moment is different, and it may be accepting that and learning to speak nicely, and saying, this is how it is right now. And what else can I do? Maybe I can sit in the grass or sit in my meadow or hug a tree or
Uh,
connect us
I was,
back.
yeah. So I get this sort of electric feeling in my body. So it's just an excess of energy trying to get out. And sorry. And it is, it gets worse with the weather. Do you know if it's raining?
Okay. Yep, yep.
So, or if it's stormy, or if the pressure's low, and it's really difficult to manage and difficult to bear.
Yeah.
But last night, the night before last, so now I do that exactly what you said. Find something that can take me out, or that I can do and have fun with while this is happening, and I'm not able to bear it. And I found this song. I was watching these on TikTok,
Yeah.
these dog videos.
I don't
Um, yeah.
Dog videos my favorite.
3 o'clock in the morning, I'm sitting watching these dog videos, and they're funny. But one of them, they kept playing this song. I said, "What's that song? I've never heard that song." So I looked it up on YouTube, and it's my song now. It's my go-to song for my dancing in the kitchen that I do,
Really
or dancing in my bed when I've got no energy to get out of bed. And it is. I'm going to tell you what it is.
so
It
good.
it
You'll have
it,
to
it
share it with me. Send me the link and I'll drop it in
I'll
the.
send you the link. It's got
Yeah.
a funny. It's probably everybody knows this song, but I'm not up with with the music these days. And it's by Paul Russell. It's called Little Boo Thang. Little
Okay.
Boo Thang. So I'll
Okay.
send it to you. Yeah, it's so buzzy and kind of that joyful way. But I use music a lot for just
Fantastic.
to exist in a space where I'm finding it difficult to exist in. So yeah.
It's beautiful. Well, I just thank you so much for this amazing discussion today, Sarah. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you about your creative practices and life and moving and writing and how that shows up for you. So it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, can I just ask you one thing then? So, what recently has brought you a moment of joy?
Went for a swim this morning.
Oh,
The first I did. Got up in the morning. It's just not far away, maybe 50 meters, and I swim naked. No, we have no
oh,
neighbors here, so
fabulous.
went into the water, and there were a few birds flying around, and yeah, it was magical.
Oh, that's bliss.
Yep,
Yeah. Oh, good for you.
yeah, no,
Excellent. Well, it's been lovely speaking to you, Lisa. I've loved every minute of it. It's been
beautiful.
such fun.
Yeah, I'll drop all the links. All your links are available, so just check the notes. If anyone wants to be in touch with Sarah, who might help you with your writing process or get in touch with nature, she will be there to help you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Flucking Flourishing podcast, where we say a bold yes to growth, mess, and midlife magic. If you love this chat, make sure you're subscribed, share it with your fellow Queenagers, and perhaps leave a little love in the form of a review. It helps more fabulous humans find me. Until next time, keep flourishing your way, no fluff, no filters.